Good luck with those Roku boxes. They go out. You are now going out to an audience of potentially many million because we're all over the world on the Roku channel, and that's Roku channel. And my thanks to Michaela Wilson there, a constable in the PSNI based in Newry since she joined 10 years ago. Delighted to welcome Tom Johnston and Paul McKeown into the programme today, two men of the Newry and Portadown branch of the Inland Waterways Society of Ireland, Association of Ireland.
That's right.
And you have been reaching out because you've gone to England to your colleagues across the water in the Inland Waterways Association there. And you've been working on a project for a week there.
That's right, Rowan. We're on the Lancaster Canal, and we stayed in a place called Sedgwick, outside Kendal, and the place where we actually did the work on the canal is a little townland called Stainton, and the idea is to open another 200 metres stretch off the canal, and it runs from one bridge to another. There's no actual locks on that stretch of the canal, but the whole idea is to reline the bed of the canal, and seal it.
Yeah. Tom, have you not enough work to be doing in Newry without going over to England to help them?
Well, I haven't quite gotten my head around the fact that I'm paying to work now. On that week that we were away, we started on a Sunday and finished on a Friday, so that was 6 days work. I never worked 6 days in a row for BT, so my senility, I'm going senile awfully quickly.
Oh, for goodness sake. But I mean, you're there doing it, but presumably you bring back some lessons with you to Newry.
Well, that was the whole idea of, apparently, we found this out afterwards, that we were sent over on a reconnaissance visit to see how they did things.
First we take Manhattan, then we take Berlin.
Yes, and certainly we learned a lot about the importance of the health and safety aspect of everything.
Yeah.
And they have a methodology for everything they do, so that everybody is supposed to know exactly what they're meant to do on the day.
And they do that and nothing else.
They do that, and we had leaders who we had to report to, and they give the instructions.
Yeah.
But the reality of things was something slightly different. You know, there were occasions when we were told there was too many people for the work to be done, and yet one or two of us found ourselves doing all the work, and everybody else was sort of standing around watching him giving the orders at his end of things.
So the precise work you did, Paul, what was it? We were relining the canal.
So you drain it first of all?
Well, it was already drained.
Yeah.
What they did is they put a bank up at one bridge.
Yes.
And the canal comes there to a dead end.
Yeah.
And then the idea is that the canal bed was dug out and the banks laid.
Yeah.
And
what did you lay them with?
It's just stone.
Ordinary stone.
Yes. That would be compounded in with diggers and things, tracked in. And then a liner goes across it, a terrain, it's called. And what happens is when it gets wet, it emulsifies and seals the bottom of the bed and stops any seepage for water running out of it.
And this is a tried and tested system that the British have had in their English canals for a long time now.
Strangely enough, this method was actually quite new to them.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
So,
but they've been relining canals.
It has been used in canals throughout Europe, so it's not totally new, but it has been new to the Waterways Recovery Group.
Yeah, yeah. What kind of how did this come about, boys? Who made the phone call? What kind of relationship have you with the Inland Waterways Association?
I think that was Geraldine. That was another fine mess she got us into. She had spotted this somewhere along the way and thought, I'll send 2 Egypts over to find out what goes on. And we were the only 2 who put their hands up. Maybe that says something about
Tom,
us, doesn't it?
I'm bound to say to you, methinks it is a sin to protest too much. I rather think Barry enjoyed it.
It was an eye-opener, absolute eye-opener. Not least because of the lack of sleep. You know, there was a certain amount of, every night there was snoring, coughing, flatulence. The squeaking of airbeds, all sorts of stuff.
So you weren't put up at a 5-star hotel or anything?
No.
Certainly not.
It was almost a bothy.
In the village hall.
In the village, you were given the village hall.
Everyone had to lay a claim on a piece of ground.
Yeah. So that presumes that if you were in the village hall, that the canal is seen by the community as something at the heart of their village.
They have a trust, the Canal Trust, and they've been working on this for some time, and they've even got a little boat that goes up and down on the canal in that area, and they run trips up and down that, which I don't think they charge for, but they expect a donation.
Yeah.
So this is another 200 metres that they'll be able to use, and with their idea is something similar to our own, that they want to go as far as they can and reopen as much of it as they possibly can.
And it's softly make the progress.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're doing.
Yeah, well, that's it. Well, that 200 metres, like, you know, it's another small step and another stretch of water open.
Absolutely.
So it is. And next year for the Maybank holiday, they intend having a boat rally on it.
Yeah.
Which,
How far away are we from a boat rally from Sands's Mill out to the St. Coleman's College Lock?
I would like to think not very far,
Hey.
Ron, but it is hard to say. We have this in the pipeline for some time now.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple of obstacles in the way that was unavoidable, and
But you've now dealt with those.
we're dealing with each one at a time,
Yeah.
and we're getting there. So we
But
are.
if it's not next year, it could be the following year. You would like to think.
Would I like to think it was this year, but
Yeah.
that's not
But
going to be now. So it's not.
I think you need, perhaps, dare I say, you need the reward of seeing boats afloat, because you're putting the work in, and you're exhausting your physicality and also your imaginative powers. There comes a time when suddenly if you see a boat there, or 2 boats or 8 boats, and people all flags flying and people laughing and barbecuing and all the rest of it, suddenly you're going to say, wow, I'm switched on again, this is great.
Well, we had one small piece of reward there a few weeks ago when the Minister for Culture, Leisure and Arts visited us, where one of our members, Eamon Burke, took his boat from Sands's Mill up as far as Lock number 3. And,
Lock 3 is
it was
the
only one
college?
boat. Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. It was only one
That's the
boat,
distance
but it was
of
still a
how-
reward to see it happen.
How long is that distance? What length is that distance?
I'd say you're probably talking about a mile thereabouts.
A mile?
Yeah.
But sure, look, that's a mile. You've created
Well,
a navigable mile. That's a great start.
that's
you
right.
know.
That was history making. That was
absolutely.
the first boat, half a century or something
Yes.
like that?
And have you still water in that section?
We have, yes.
So if a fellow had a rowing boat,
He could
row
row that distance.
that
yes.
distance, and he could do that of a Saturday morning. He could maybe have his breakfast on board the boat in his own sweet way, maybe a little thermos flask and whatever else.
He could, yes.
So the waterway is open again in Uri.
To a small extent, but yes.
Well, it's to a small extent is a mile.
Yes.
A mile's not small. You know, it's very, very good indeed.
I think, Rowan, as long as you have people like Peter and Geraldine who are good at getting people to do things for them, and it takes 2 people like that who have all the go in them to get things done, and they get people to do things. And as Peter says, the more we do, then the more you find other things being done. There was a section up by, what do they call it, the Costa del Sol, where the Bestbrook River meets the canal. And
I know. Yes.
and the Rivers Agency were in there last week.
There's a little weir there.
Yeah, the Rivers Agency were in there last week digging out all the sand, and the amount of sand you want to see on the side of the bank now is incredible. And that's probably just because of the work that we do, and they then.
But I think it's very important. I think it's important to recognise, and Peter and Geraldine were the first to say it, it's not a 2-pony trick. You know, you're all there. You're all motivated with this deep-seated wish to see history reinstated, a gentler age of transportation, a more eco-friendly system, because I dare say each of you have seen the wildlife on the canal par excellence.
Yeah.
Oh yes, like everyone does take their part in it, Rowan. But like as Tom said, between Peter and Geraldine, they're the driving force behind it all. They're the ones that goes out and meets all the different bodies that has to be dealt with along the way and covers all the paperwork and that. There's a lot of work involved in that there.
Yeah, they'd be good at that.
It's great for somebody to say to go down there for 1 or 2 days of the week to throw in a bit of a hand and do a bit of labour and that there. But behind the scenes, it's like 5-6 days a week for Peter and Geraldine.
I sense you guys and girls are a strong organisation now. There might have been a time when it was maybe if we get 5 people at a meeting in the Arts Centre, if we get 10 people. I sense in some kind of way you're underpinned and there is something strong in existence now.
Well, the canal is our driving force. When we started up, when I joined the branch, I think there was maybe 6, 7 people at a meeting. Now you can have anything from 15 to 25.
Yeah.
Depending on the night. Obviously, not everybody can go to every meeting.
Of course.
But the attendance does be very good, and the driving force behind with the whole members of the branch, and everyone has their own ideas, and everyone pulls together to see them ideas carried through.
Yeah. And a person, you know, it's not, I'm thinking of myself, a cantankerous old 71-year-old. I wouldn't be very good at meetings. I don't like meetings. But I wouldn't be bad on the water.
We'll give you a spade then.
Why? Absolutely.
That's all you need is a
Happy
spade.
enough for that. Get, as long as I see the water there.
Get you a set of thigh waders up to here and
Oh,
put you
yeah.
into the middle of the canal and you can dig to your heart's content.
I rescued a swan opposite recently, no, a year and a half ago, in the middle of winter. And it was trapped, it had an arrow or something stuck in its neck. It was across opposite the gates into the Wynn Business Park. And there he was, so I had to go into the water to do it. And I put my wetsuit on, and I suddenly discovered that my wetsuit had more than one hole in it. There's a hole for the head, there's a hole for each arm, that's 3, there's a hole for each leg, that's 5. This might have had 10 holes in it. But it was buoyant,
Yes.
and we managed to get the swan and look after the swan and whatever. But there's a joy in doing that, isn't there?
Oh, there is surely, yes.
Nowadays, where I live, in my balcony overlooking the ocean down at Warren Point, I feed the starlings, and they come. They're small, they're beautiful when you see them up close. But then the large seagulls come, and I'm like a demented, what do they call those things? Turtle, driving the seagulls away from the window, flacking to let the smaller birds get in.
Get in.
But it's fun. The nature's in a good way there, is it? Where you are in the canal. What's your observation about the state of the health of our natural world on the canal?
Well, there's plenty of fish, except for there was a bit of a
spill
disaster
recently.
there a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yes, the week before, the week we were heading out to England. There was a bit of a disaster there, a bit of a fish kill.
Yeah.
I don't think it was to a great extent, thank God.
No,
but,
it'll come back. Nature's a way of coming back, hasn't it?
Yeah, but there is a great healthy fish population in the canal, plenty of birds.
And the ubiquitous heron who stands there waiting for his dinner or his tea.
Patiently.
Very wonderfully. That's good, all right.
Well, we have other events taking place. You know, we have that canal wood, which has been refurbished, and you want to take a walk out there sometime.
Well, tell me what the canal wood is.
Canal wood is it's owned by the Woodland Trust.
Where?
It's between where Jarrett's Pass and Gamble's Bridge.
Yes.
Wow.
And you want to go out there. Now, it just used to be a lot of trees. And one of our members became the voluntary warden, Heather Crawford. And she and her husband started doing work and getting people like Eamon Burke and some of ourselves in to cut grass and make pathways. And now the Woodland Trust have put up a boardwalk around this area.
Fantastic.
And it's only been done this last few weeks.
Fantastic.
And they've opened up a second entrance. So now you can go in, walk through Canal Wood, out the far end, over this boardwalk, where you'll see even more wildlife. They've got a new seat created. And this seat has been commissioned.
Yeah.
And it shows a lot of little tiles with which the children of Points Pass and I think Scarva, the schools, have made drawings. So this represents the canal over the many years. It'll have little display on it of a canal lighter. It'll show the railway, and that's just been installed in this last few weeks as well. So
well done, boys.
on some of your Sunday mornings when you've nothing to do or a big head, you want to sort of get rid of it, take a walk out there.
I wouldn't have that. I've never taken a drink in my life. The great drink that Donnelly and I had in the early days was Canal Tay. And Canal Tay was a Thompson's Demerara rum made with brown sugar, lemon, rum, and boiled canal water, cloves. Very clean where we were, down in the... And it was always great. We had great fun there. That was 40 years ago, for goodness sake. But listen, look out for me. Watch for the rowing boat as I come through. And we'll do it gently and quietly and whatever else. So, thank you for coming in.
Pleasure.
And we're going to go now to an interview of some significance for people who are having their A-level results tomorrow. God, it's a rough time for them.